allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you and welcome. We're going to open public comment at 5:34. Any public comment? We'll leave that open for 30 minutes. Come on, guys, no. Then we will go to presentations.
So tonight we definitely have students from NAMI here, along with Miss Westberg. Some students from Look Up Club may also be showing up. But I know the Look Up Club last week had the Screen Ages, the second screening. I know NAMI was there last week too, so they can talk about that and some of the work they've done this year. So Miss Westberg or Molly or...
Okay, go.
And Sadie. I love it.
Sadie and Elizabeth.
There we go.
Right, okay, how about you guys introduce yourselves?
You guys don't know me already. I'm
Yeah.
Sadie. I'm a senior here at Winnacunnet.
I'm Marley. I'm a junior here at Winnacunnet. I'm Haley. I'm a junior.
Yeah, we gotta switch up people. Okay, so just as a background for the board, we had generous funding provided by the Seacoast Women's Giving Circle in the summer of 2023 to train our student leaders by NAMI. Dr. Toomey, I believe, secured that funding. And the program trains both adults and students in delivering evidence-based curriculum in suicide prevention. Students began presentations during trimester 2 of the 23-24 school year in the sophomore and senior wellness classes. And would one of you like to just jump in and say something about this lovely slide?
So here's a picture of some of us from this past summer. How our application and training process kind of works now is usually around this time of the school year, we'll put an application out for anyone who wants to apply to be a part of NAMI, and then us youth leaders will kind of go over those applications, see who's really passionate about youth mental health advocacy, and then we usually have a training at the end of the summer. Everyone's very tan in this photo, you can tell. It's usually around the end of August, right when Fresh Start is, and we'll just have a training where our past NAMI youth leaders will then teach the new upcoming leaders about how we kind of teach this curriculum and kind of the importance behind it.
And I do also just want to take a moment to say that this year's seniors were some of our inaugural members to kick things off the ground, and I could not be more proud of the work that they've done, and I know we're going to function without them, but I'm not quite sure how.
Way to go.
Yes.
Someone else. Let's just, volley. Go for it.
Okay, so it's created by a select group, as we talked about, the 10th to 12th graders who strive to break the stigma and raise awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. We present to wellness classes, freshman seminar classes, senior wellness classes, and we're also doing sending schools now, Hampton Academy and Sierra Middle School. And so we're trying to teach the importance of caring for themselves and reaching out to others for support in many different variations and forms. We've worked a lot recently this past year on making different slideshows for each of the age groups. So they're not just seeing the same thing. We're teaching upon and touching upon a bunch of different topics, so that way it kind of keeps them engaged and also builds onto their knowledge and what they're learning.
So the core principles of the NAMI Connect Youth Leader Program are that suicide is a public health problem that impacts all ages. It's generally preventable, that everyone has a responsibility in preventing suicide. Communication with others will help reduce the risk of suicide in the community, and recognize and connect are the two actions that are key in saving lives. And so you'll see that, this slide and the previous slide, some of these are directly copied from the NAMI slide deck. And some of them, as we sort of get a little bit further along, are the work of our students to sort of personalize it to our community. So the other core principle really is that all of us have been touched in some way by loss in our lives, and that it can be something that brings up personal experiences for us. And we need to be sensitive to loss survivors. And so as a reminder, please practice good self-care and seek support. And tonight we are not going to put you on the spot, so I'm going to just let you know that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, so that's one of our training things that we do in the summertime, that middle one. So we kind of like a list of reasons why we don't talk about suicide and mental health as much as we do. So it's actually one of my favorite activities that we do. It's called Hot Potato, and it's kind of resembling like the game, how nobody wants to hold it, you always want to pass it along, you don't want to be the one to end up with a hot potato. It's kind of similar in the way that we apply it, how it's, people don't want to talk about this kind of thing, we think it's going to put some of these, the idea in somebody's head, but again, these kind of conversations are so important, and it's so important to open up this direct line of communication. I really like that activity, and the kids start getting involved, and we have like a little like NAMI brain, so they always love to play with that. But stigma, we talk about many different things. We talk about male stigma, religion, culture, things like that. All these different factors in other people's lives that maybe that's why they don't talk about it. We do open it up to them and try and create some kind of conversation, but really it's just our first intro game to try and get them to start, talking and opening up a little bit.
And they are always silent in the beginning of
Yes.
these presentations, and so they don't want to talk at all. And so this really does a nice job getting the students to feel a little bit more comfortable in talking about it. And so once this activity is done, then they talk the rest of the time. It's really great. I'm not going to show this video, but I do think you will get this slide deck in your board, whatever way you guys get board stuff. And I would encourage you to watch it because it is Kevin Love, who is a professional basketball player, talking about suicide and mental health, and how he, in his own way, by telling his own story, is reducing stigma around mental health in what is seen as a very, obviously male-dominated powerhouse setting, context for professional basketball. Go ahead.
Okay, so in our presentations, we were wondering how we actually present the information to the students, and we do that in a few ways. As Marley said, we do a lot of activities to keep the students engaged. That's one of the things we're really trying to focus on is student engagement and making sure that the students are actually taking in the information that we're giving them. So we do a lot of led discussions by the NAMI leaders, and we have the students kind of gather and just think amongst themselves and try to just interpret our questions and make sure that they're learning the information that we're giving them. We do presentations with just actual facts about suicide prevention and mental health. We watch a lot of videos like the last slide and Ms. Westerberg, just to hear things from a different perspective and point of view.
And what you see here is sort of one screenshot from each of our presentations. So in the peach one, that is the one that we deliver to the sending schools, and one of the 2-minute videos we show is from Seize the Awkward, and it's just hysterically funny. 2 high school age students getting together, really just trying to model, one of them asking, hey, how are you really? And then the middle one is a slide from the presentation that we do for freshman SEM. And so with that presentation, we really focus on time management, certainly mental health, as well as what are the things that you're going to face when you get to high school. And so that is delivered in like October or November in the freshman SEM classes. And then the teal one is the NAMI Connect Youth presentation, the Save a Life game show. So one of the activities is that we have kids play almost like a Jeopardy style game where they talk about the impact of things like cold weather climates or the age of people or other things. And so it is, again, really increases
Cold weather climate.
Yeah,
I guess.
comfort with talking about
Yeah,
health.
they also hate that game too because they get equal amount of points and nobody
Yeah.
actually wins, so they get very mad. But that's I love our different presentations because it does tailor to that age group. So those sending schools, it's not very suicide heavy. We talk a lot about mental health and stress and how you cope with that, and it does progress as we get into the older groups to kind of cope with how much they can actually understand and internalize.
Which ones, can I just interrupt really quickly?
Sure.
Which groups do you find are easier to connect with? The sendings, which level?
Well, I
Just
just
out of
did
curiosity.
my first sending school presentation. I did it to Hampton Academy last week, and that group was just a lot of energy. They were very engaged. I think they were really excited to see high schoolers coming to their sending school. I know I would have if I was a middle
Yeah.
schooler. They were definitely a lot more kind of
free-for-all out there, but again, we were talking about stress, which most students feel like they can comfortably talk about. But I will say sophomore wellness, they do get very rowdy. Senior wellness is very much like calm, and they listen to you. They don't really engage. But the sophomore wellness I've seen a lot is very much rowdy, especially that Save a Life game shows when they get the most like hyped up and amped up. For me personally.
All right, thanks.
And so really the key is that talking about suicide is the first step to preventing suicide. And so we reiterate this information with the students. And really it's almost like just getting them more comfortable saying the word and talking about things is, helpful for the students as well as just helpful for everyone.
So we talk a lot about resources that individuals can kind of get in touch with, so that if they're worried about someone who they believe is going to harm themselves or something of that matter, or they're worried about themselves, they have resources that they can go to. But first we like to talk about how to talk about someone who has taken their own life kind of respectfully, because a lot of times, like Mrs. Westberg said earlier, suicide is a public health issue, so terms such as someone has like successfully died by suicide or committed suicide, that sounds like it's kind of suicide is a positive thing. So we like to kind of teach language that they can use instead, like took their own life, died by suicide, things that are kind of more neutral rather than some like a goal trying to check off. We do a lot of kind of like text line numbers, such as the crisis text line. We teach them about 988, which is on their student ID card, which a lot of them don't realize. So that's a great resource. The New Hampshire addiction line, and we also talk about welfare checks. So if they're worried about someone and they don't know if they're in danger or they're going to harm themselves, they can call 911 and they can do a welfare check, and they can go to their house, which is another thing that a lot of students don't realize. That they can do if they're worried about someone. And we also just like to know that students are not alone in this kind of process, and they're not professionals. Their job is just to kind of like recognize the signs and connect them with a professional that can get them help. So we don't want this to feel overwhelming for the students, just to know that they're not alone, and there's so many resources in the school, in their community, or kind of online that they can go to help.
And we do also highlight the reporting on each of the SAE 21 websites, so that they know that that goes somewhere, and that someone from the school district will answer, when that comes in.
So NAMI has accomplished a lot in the past few years. So just to outline some of the things that we've done, in 2023 to 2024, we presented to 5 sophomore wellness classes and 2 senior wellness classes. We created a NAMI Instagram account to kind of showcase what we do, to upload updates about the club, and to just try to get people aware of the club on social media. We created the application process, and in 2024 to 2025, we presented to 10 sophomore wellness classes and 3 senior wellness classes. And we also started the freshman seminar class presentation, so we presented to 15 freshman seminar classes. We started creating mental health awareness content as well as suicide prevention content, and we started presenting to the to 8th grade students from different sending schools, particularly Seabrook and Hampton, or only Seabrook and Hampton right now. And we started doing exam day stress relief with Gus. So Gus comes in on exam days, and a lot of students really look up to it because exam season is really stressful, and animals and pets are obviously really good stress relief, so people look forward to seeing animals and puppies after they take their tests. And in 2025 to 2026, the current year, obviously, we presented to 13 sophomore wellness classes, 15 freshman seminar classes, and with a new mental health presentation. And we also presented to 8th grade students again in Seabrook and Hampton, and we partnered with Lookup, the club here focusing on social media and the experience with teenagers growing up in the digital age. So the panel was opened to members of the community who wanted to learn more about teenagers growing up with cell phones and social media, and our take on it.
Seabrook is tomorrow, by the way, so we've done Hampton, but I went ahead and put it on there because we'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
So for the next school year, some of our goals are to obviously to grow the club, accepting new members with similar values. Obviously, the more advocacy that we can have in the Winnacunnet community, the better. We want to start creating fundraising opportunities. We talked about this, especially this year, a lot now, so we can make some fundraising opportunities. We talked about maybe designing hoodies or stickers that we could sell with kind of some of our NAMI sayings on them. Find other ways to reach out to the student body.
That's the thing, it's almost the last slide.
Oh, perfect. We talked about this year about maybe revamping a new senior wellness slideshow, kind of focusing on life after high school and what kind of the mental health looks like behind that. So we were thinking about just kind of creating different ways that we can really connect with different age groups in high school and beyond, as well as just continuing to do what we do to present to our sophomore wellness classes, our 8th graders, our freshmen, and our seniors.
So how to care for yourself when you're stressed. So we stress this a lot for the students, but it's also important for anyone to hear. We really try and instill in the kids that it is okay to ask for help and it is important to speak up. It's not a sign of weakness. It is more of a sign of strength. So we really try and instill in the kids that it's, like we were talking about earlier, it is a public health issue. So when we talk about other things, why don't we talk about suicide in the same manner? So ask for help, talk to others, get plenty of rest. I bring up this statistic with them a lot, but teenagers and especially athletes are supposed to be getting 9 to 10 hours of sleep. And I actually had one of my kiddos in descending school say they got 11 hours of sleep, which I was very shocked at how they got that much. But for most students, it's not that much. But I mean, middle school, no homework, no other stuff like that. So I get it for her, but I was like, wow, that's impressive. Drink plenty of water, avoid caffeine. I'm such a hypocrite when it comes to this one, but I truly try and instill in the kiddos that it's important to have that balance and drink a lot of water. No use of alcohol or other drugs. We talk about this a lot in our one of our presentations where we look at a bunch of students and we say who's at risk for suicide, and the whole point of it is that anybody can be at risk for suicide. And it's a good kind of eye-opener for them, but a lot of them do have alcohol and other drug related on the slides, and we try and highlight that can be a common outlet for some students and how we can redirect them into having better coping mechanisms. Okay. Exercise. So a lot of students, mainly the ones that I've talked to, their main outlet is exercise, which is great, but it is such a great outlet for other students. So we try and direct them into the point of that. And then using relaxation skills like breath work and things like that, meditation, journaling, things like that. Anything that they can really use to de-stress after a long day. We understand that high schoolers are going through so much nowadays, and it's really important that us as students connect with them and then also point them in the right direction on how to improve their well-being and how to be a part of the solution, which is actually our next slide. Great segue. Make a difference, be a part of the solution is one of our main sayings here at NAMI, and we always wrap this up, the presentation, with this. Like Sadie was saying, we try to stress to the kids that we are not asking you to be trained professionals like Mrs. Westerberg, the other teachers in the school, but really just to recognize this and then connect them with somebody that they can get help from. But it's so important as a student body to recognize this in your friends, in yourself, in family, and be able to help and be a part of the solution.
So you can see why I hang out with these students. They're amazing, and I really just kind of show up, and they lead and speak with power and truth to these students. And at this point, I believe since NAMI at Winnacunnet began, that we have spoken to about 1,500 students about mental health between grades 8 and 12.
Awesome. Great job,
Thank
you
you
guys.
so much. Oh, can I just make another point just to thank Marley for, she attends the Winnacunnet High School Alumni Association meetings, and she gets through those with us. And so,
No, you guys are so fun. I love it. Don't worry.
I'm sure she brings this energy also.
oh yeah, and all of us oldsters are like, social media, what? So thank you for your help
Of course.
on that committee as well.
No. You guys are amazing, and I love the energy that you have, and I know that it's going to be passed down to the next group and the next group and next group, but what an awesome group you are, and I just thank you immensely for what you do.
Incredible job.
Seconded.
Yeah.
All in
Yeah.
favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
One
Thank
quick
you,
thing,
ladies.
just a thought. In college, what a lot of them, exam times for like when you were talking about fundraisers and what to do, even putting it out to the parents, which would get families involved too, is they send candy like to kids for, like before exams.
Oh,
And,
good boxes.
yeah, they do boxes, but you could do like the Sweet Target, whatever those things are, but just something like that on exam days, and parents could send, like a candygram almost.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Would
Yeah,
be
that's a
cool
good
because I
idea.
know
And
that.
obviously that would have board approval, right? Because
Right.
you're-
Absolutely. It has board approval. Absolutely.
No food dyes in the candy, though.
Yeah.
It's clean.
But it's like, I know that they were saying too, that it's like sometimes that sweet and sour turns things, and it's
Yeah, that's a
just
great idea.
one of the things that, like,
Yeah.
I know a bunch of the schools and the colleges do it, which is, you know, a moneymaker for them, so it must be good, so,
I'm
yeah.
sure people would do that,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep that in my
Yeah,
notes.
that's a great
There you go. I
Yeah.
love
Make
it.
me
Thank
look forward
you.
to exam season.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. But it's not gonna beat Gus, so nothing
No,
else
I
Gus,
know.
right?
No,
Yeah.
no.
And we just need another puppy coming in too, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another
It's getting
squishy
big.
little puppy.
Yeah, we,
Yeah.
or sheep, I don't know, do we have lambs?
Sheep.
Lambs
I
we
know,
can bring
right?
in.
That would definitely
Oh,
be
those
interesting.
Lambs that we can
No,
bring
wait,
in.
do we like a whole
Yeah.
farm, Mr. McGowan?
We bring
That's
them
another
together
farm.
for farm
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Pet a
I think we
horse.
should have
Some
farm days,
chickens.
don't you? Yeah,
Those
farm
little
days.
goats and
Baby
their
chicks.
pajamas.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We do the, you
A
know,
lot of
sheep
ideas.
yoga.
Yeah.
So, all
Oh
right.
wow, sheep yoga, that'd be exciting.
Right?
That
Wouldn't
would
it?
be something.
Exactly.
Yoga is actually a
It is.
Yes,
It
it
is.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And
So
they're even
it's
getting like then they're getting like dog and cat yoga that you can adopt the cats
Yes,
and dogs
afterwards.
afterwards.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I
I'd
love
work
that.
out with all of them,
I think
but-
we should work with the SPCA to bring the pets here, you know, during exam time. I
Oh
mean,
my
that is a
God.
great
I think that's-
idea.
Bad idea.
That'd be so
something with
nice.
animals, I'm like all set with that, but yeah, absolutely, so. But
Guinea
thank you
pigs.
very much, and,
Yeah.
and continued success with this program, and Tally, thank you so much for your leadership in it. You are amazing.
I know. I just want to take a second to thank Mrs. Westerberg because she keeps this club running. She always brings her treats in the summertime, which we very much look forward to. But without her, I don't think half these students would be as motivated. It is such a great message, but Mrs. Westerberg does truly bring the energy and all of our students together, especially with our crazy busy schedule. She makes it all worth it. So
Yeah.
She likes to say humble and
great.
say that we do all the work, but she
Yeah,
really
she
is
really does
the
a lot of
behind
the
the
work,
scenes
yeah.
of everything. So
yeah.
Very deeply understanding.
Well done.
This is my 26th year here at Winnacunnet, which is crazy.
Oh my God.
Right. But it's really been invigorating to be able to work with a larger group of students and to help them to lean into their power to have a broader impact across the school community. I love it. It's one of the highlights of my week.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Good job,
ladies.
guys.
oh, thank you.
All right. Winnacunnet Pride.
And I'm back.
And you're back.
All right, so for student council, we had election speeches for our class officers this week, Monday through Wednesday, and winners are going to be announced on Friday for the next school year. Recently, the sophomore class hosted a mattress sale fundraiser on April 19th, which was very successful. March 21st was the annual Empty Bowls event, which was in the dining hall, which is always a community favorite and was very successful per usual. Best Buddies had a craft show on March 29th. Recently, the National Honor Society hosted our first ever book swap, which was Sunday, April 12th. The Sustainability Club hosted their annual clothing swap on April 17th and 18th. There's currently a new coding club here at Winnacunnet that has recently started meeting during Warrior Blocks. And the Sustainability Club is also currently collaborating with Meadow Mirth Farms with a fundraiser that brings local food into the school cafeteria. So people can log into the Meadow Mirth website, choose a vegetable box and a pickup location, and use the sustainability code. And then a portion of the proceeds go back to the Sustainability Club and come out in the form of fresh vegetables for the school's cafeteria. May 7th is parent-teacher conferences, which marks the halfway through this trimester, the last of the school year. May 14th is the Winnacunnet 10-minute plays. The junior prom is being held at the venue at Portwalk Place in Portsmouth on May 16th from 6 to 10. May 19th is the ITS induction ceremony. May 20th is the art show, and the Tri-M Music Honor Society is sponsoring its annual Coffee House Talent Showcase on Thursday, May 21st at 7 p.m. in the dining hall. For sports, track and field recently had a community oven fundraiser, which was April 6th, and spring sports all officially started their season last week. They all had their first games and are now in full swing, I think, as we all saw outside with all the buses and everything, so yeah.
Great, thank you.
I had one more thing to that. I had emailed Mr. McGowan today, but this past weekend was the New Hampshire Music Educators All-State Festival in Concord. And Winnacunnet represented both in chorus and in band. We had one of our students be the top scorer for tuba.
Wow.
And
Oh, wow.
he also was one of the few students in the concert band, at least, who had got the 4-year award, meaning he qualified for All-State every single year.
Wow, geez.
So So, thanks to Pat and to Ken, who also took a bunch of kids to New York.
Right.
And just the program, we, in addition to all these things that Sadie mentioned, those students really represented Winnacunnet well in the musical community.
That's awesome.
We'll try to get
That's
him,
Get them here for the next one.
school month.
That'd be awesome.
Awesome.
Great.
We had the-
Thanks, Hallie.
Just one question, did you mention there's a coding club, like
Yes.
software coding?
Yes, software coding. I don't know which
Right up
teacher
your
is
alley. Look at her.
running
She's
it.
like,
Oh
I need
yeah,
that one,
I
yeah.
think it's Mr. Casmus.
Mr. Casmus. Yeah, he's doing a new coding club. I saw that. I thought it was very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe I could get connected, maybe to those guys?
Yeah, why not?
I
Let me-
could come in and tell them my story, how I humbly started in Northampton,
Okay.
Sure.
okay? Went to Winnacunnet,
Go
became
for
state CIO of Rhode Island, yeah,
Do it.
that would be
I'll
cool.
find out when the meeting, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
You can do it too.
All right, so we have regular meeting, the minutes from March 18th. There we go, that's the date. It's right there in front of me. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes, or are there any changes that anybody needed?
Motion to approve the minutes from the March 18th, 2026 regular meeting.
Thank you, and a second?
Second it?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have board reports.
Yes, ready to go first?
Sure.
So recapping, one event has already happened, which was our legislative meeting on April 8th, our legislative roundtable. So thank you to our legislators who attended. Just another opportunity for good discussion about how legislative changes can impact local education. And I would say open enrollment was probably the top topic, and that is still out there. Potentially a vote this week, so continue to monitor and share your feedback with your legislators. We are in the midst of the assessment window. I know our high schoolers will be taking AP exams right after break, and SAT was last week. Our 8th graders in our SAU 21 sending schools are taking the PSAT 8-9 this year for the first time, so that will be sort of helpful for monitoring progress as they move through high school. So we're looking forward to that. A student leadership team and parent guardian advisory council both met in April. Our last conversation was around use of AI and ways to build community. So we'll be talking about that at an administrative team meeting soon. We are in the midst of hiring season, so if you know anyone who's looking for a position, please check our website. You can click right on employment for SAU 21. Here at the high school, I think our openings are largely for support staff, but there are openings across the SAU. We will be providing an update on Portrait of a Learner at the May joint board meeting, and then each school will be presenting its school improvement plan at either their May or June board meeting. And you'll be asked at tonight's meeting to approve what are called the general assurances for federal funding. And we will then begin our review process and stakeholder outreach process to determine what our grant activities we will be proposing for the upcoming year. So you'll have the consolidated application most likely on your May meeting for approval.
Thank you.
Superintendent.
Please.
Nadeau, the grants that you talk about here, are they the federal grants that come to us?
Yes.
Or are they grants that we're applying for
So
outside?
these
Or
are the
both?
federal grants.
Okay.
So we have to sign off on, all of the guidelines for those individual grants. And so
Okay.
that's what's included in your agenda tonight. And here at the high school, we receive funds in Title I, Title II, which is teacher and administrator professional development, and Title IV, which is sort of whole child development and can be used in a variety of ways.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Next,
Dr.
we have
Toomey?
Dr. Toomey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So inspiring to hear the kids talk about all the great work they've done. The time goes by so fast. When I started 4 years ago, that opportunity came across my desk, getting to know people here and the whole issue of mental health and what we want our students to be able to do. And one of the early people I was introduced to was Tally Westerberg. And I said, how would you love to be able to take a group and train them up and do all of these great things? And she just ran with it. So she deserves all the credit, and to see what those kids have been able to do. And it's been wonderful. In addition to all of that, we convene a meeting of all of the behavioral health providers every month. I meet with them. So all of the psychologists, the social workers, the counselors from across the SAU, I meet with them virtually once a month. And so these kids have done a presentation to those adults. And just their confidence and their ability to kind of share the message and get it out there, it's incredibly inspiring. So just wanted to shout them out and Tally out for any chance we get. My first item is some really exciting news for the 3rd annual year. We are having a family literacy fair, and we're holding it right here at Winnacunnet again in the dining hall. It's May 9th from 1 to 3 p.m. And we invite families to come, and especially with little ones from birth to age 8. Llama Llama is coming. We're going to have a storyteller and children's museum passes, photos, crafts, more. We usually get the superintendent right in there making the crafts with the kids, so,
I'm not very good at it.
you do a great job doing that every year. So please come by and say hi to us. There's a link to register in my board report, and there's also the flyer that just talks about the Family Literacy Fair. And shout out to Patrice Baker, who's our early intervention outreach specialist, who has another person who has taken an idea and run with it. And anyway, 3rd annual, so it's great to see that that's happening. The next item here is about an indicator 4. It's one of our indicators that we get through the Bureau of Special Education Support. It's a whole list of indicators. Next month, as a little preview, I'll tell you tonight, I'll be doing the annual determinations report, where I show you how we did overall for the previous year. So it takes almost a whole year for them to tell us in April how we did the year before. And so that presentation is coming next month. But just specific to indicator 4, this is the one that talks about whether we have a significant discrepancy between long-term suspensions, 10 or more days, for students with disabilities versus those without disabilities. And we look at that, and the state looks at that, and they give us sort of a 3.5 times threshold. So if you're more than 3.5 times the state average for that particular group, then they consider that to be a significant discrepancy. So we did have that in one of the areas that was specific to disaggregating it by race or ethnicity. And as a result, we had to submit some documentation to the state. And we received back on March 25th that they have reviewed all the documentation, and as a result, no further action was needed. But the important thing I wanted to point out to you is that it caused us at the SAU with the high school folks to initiate some discussions about looking at those discrepancies between disciplinary actions for students with disabilities versus those without, and whether we could start to consider some additional supports for supporting students who may have some other needs. We talk a lot about truancy, we talk a lot about different infractions and substance use and supports that we can provide that might be more therapeutic in nature. And so the high school administration has been very interested in that. We recently, Superintendent Nato and I met with the folks over at Hampton as well to see about incoming students. We've been talking to our middle schools about this incoming class of 9th graders that will be with us next year. And can we get an earlier start? Can we start outreach to families if we know that students have some chronic absenteeism? Can we start some outreach? Can we do some things that are supportive in nature so that we're not, we're not seeing this kind of need for discipline and suspensions that might exceed what we want them to be. So that's ongoing. We will bring you more information as we continue that dialogue and discussion. And then finally, I just wanted to congratulate the high school once again. We had the opportunity for the 2nd year to work with the organization Who We Play For. so that we could offer screenings that would, hopefully everything is fine, but at a very low nominal cost. Families were able to sign up so that their student could participate in this screening, looking for the potential risk of sudden cardiac arrest. And so those happened across all of our districts. And at Winnacunnet, we had 31 students who were screened. They recommend it every other year. So students who didn't have it last year here had an opportunity to participate this year. Statewide, through the collaboration with Wentworth Douglas Hospital, they've screened over 400 students across New Hampshire since they started just very recently. A number of those students were identified as moderate, and even a few identified as high risk. And then there's the recommendation for them to go out and seek additional support. So if we're just saving one student from having that episode, then we've done a really good job. So we will hope to partner. If we can have that grant again, we'll hope to partner again next year and keep you posted. Questions for me?
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you so
very
much.
Thank you.
We're gonna close public comment now at 6:09, is it? Yeah, 6:09. Seeing none. There's a big crowd. Principal's report.
Okay, good evening. Pretty brief. She's probably just ended right now, but we co-host a post-secondary transition fair for students with education disabilities. That happened this evening from 4 to 6 p.m. And then the other thing, just to give you an update, we will be looking into purchasing and installing some vape detectors in our bathrooms. Clearly, some students do vape in the bathrooms. I can't hide that. Sometimes it's more persistent on different days. So the one thing, we'll continue educating students and everything else, but the one thing that we haven't done is install vape detectors. So we'll see if that helps.
Okay.
And the way those things work, that if something does go off, our wonderful administrators will get an email. So we'll go check it out. So, and we'll continue to look into other creative ways, educational ways to curb that.
Cameras in the bathrooms. There you go.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, but boy, we just tell them it's gonna happen. That'd be nice.
And some students, and it's happened for the last couple of years, that some students just hang out in the bathroom. And it's not so much they vape, it's just that's a place where they go to hang out. Sometimes they eat, have lunch and things like that in there. So we're still, trying to work with them to find out what other areas we can do and what is the cause of that.
Right. Yeah, giving them an alternative spot or something, but yeah.
We received one donation from the Mid-Atlantic Arts for $200, and that was received as the New Hampshire Poetry Out Loud Runner-Up Prize, and that's for the purchase of poetry books and supplies, so we'll be using that money to do that.
Nice.
Enrollments are very stable. Throughout the year, that's been right about 974, 975. And then Sadie did a great job taking away my upcoming events and activities. Thank you. And the only other thing, and I'll send an email to the SAU and also the school board, is we have our last shared studios coming in when we get back next week. So we'll have connections with Iraq next Thursday, Uganda, and Mexico City next Friday, and then a week from Monday, when the following week, Iraq, Brazil, and Johannesburg, South Africa.
Cool. That's awesome.
So we got several connections, but I'll send that.
6th, 7th, and 11th, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, 7th,
7th,
8th,
8th, and
11th, and 12th. So.
Awesome. That's such a great program. I love it. Your finance reports are in, and your curriculum report are in your packets. Next we have, and your facilities is also in there. So now we're into the committees.
Yes.
So if you see where we've got the positions that were there, does anybody want to switch up or do something differently? Or we can leave them the way they are. It's totally up to you guys.
You said we have a copy in here that
Yeah.
says what everyone is appointed to?
If you-
Oh, it's down below.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
That's okay. No worries.
These are what we did last year, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wanna stay on the OC,
Okay.
which is what I'm on right now.
The only issue I have is the NHSBA Delegate Assembly, which I always enjoy going to. They've moved to the weekend this year, and it seems, I just got the email, it seems like it's gonna be the same weekend next year, which I'm guessing is gonna be a conflict of interest for me, because it
Okay.
was last year and I couldn't make it.
Okay.
Because it used to be, I think, in September or the beginning of October, now it's like mid-October.
Okay.
So if there's anyone else that can do that, I can serve as the delegate maybe, because I'm not
That's
quite
all right.
sure.
You gave me the opportunity to take your spot, and I would be happy to do that again.
It's so
Okay.
interesting.
It
I really
was-
like
it was excellent.
going to them. The presentations are always great and
Why don't we
good
switch them up
conversation.
then, and just put Tracy as the delegate and you as the alternate?
Sure.
How's that?
We do need, representative and an alternate for CE negotiations. That was not
Oh, yeah.
something that was filled this year, but that is something that you need for the upcoming year, so.
I-
that's
I wouldn't
for
mind
teacher
being-
negotiations.
I wouldn't mind being on the negotiations. If nobody, I mean, if somebody else wants it, that's fine, but,
I could back you up.
okay.
Was Tricia good with
Yes.
hers?
She
Okay.
said she would be fine to stay, which I was just checking to see what she had texted, and I think she said, yeah, put me down for SST and facilities if you're doing committee stuff tonight. Yep,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
And budget.
Hmm?
And she's
And
budget.
yep,
Okay.
yes. She loves that. All right, so then those are good. We all set with those?
Is everyone
Okay.
okay on that? Okay.
Perfect. So now we're
Easy
going
enough.
to the federal grant.
Technically, you need
Oh,
a
we have to
motion
take
to
a- oh.
approve those
Okay.
committee appointments as
Yeah.
amended.
Motion to approve the committee appointments as amended.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're on to new business, federal grant general assurance.
Yes, so as I mentioned, we are required to sign these.
Have a good night. Thank you.
There are about 21 pages that will require initials of your board chair, and your superintendent, indicating that we agree to abide by these federal regulations. The version you have there is annotated, and it shows a couple of highlights where there were word changes. Essentially, very minor on the first page. It notes that we are subrecipients of federal funds because they pass through the state, so the state is actually the awardee, the SEA, and then we are the subrecipient as the LEA, the Local Education Authority. And I think the very last one, next to last page, is just to make sure that we put in the date of this meeting when the board votes
Approved it,
to
yeah.
authorize the board chair to sign.
Meredith, just out of curiosity, and
Of
this
course.
may be a silly question, but I know technically there are none, for silly questions. Is that always how it works in states? Is that typical that the state is the recipient of the funds and then it's allocated through the state? Is that,
So for these grants, that is the case.
because it's
yeah.
federal?
Because they're congressionally designated funds, and
Okay.
so, it's not yet at a block grant level, though we hear that may be something that happens moving forward, where then the state would decide on how those funds are allocated. Right
Okay.
now, the allocation formula is determined at the federal level, and the state
Okay.
is then responsible for receiving that giant pool of funds
And following the
distributing it.
federal guideline of where it's dispersed?
Correct.
Okay.
Title I, for example, is based on your student count and your area poverty
Okay,
rates,
and then-
and that's distributed federally. And New Hampshire's funding actually declined a little bit relative to the national.
Okay.
Our poverty level is lower than many other states in the country, and so we receive a little bit less Title I funding as a state this year, but the individual district impact could be different, right? A
Okay.
district could get more or less. So
Is
yeah,
that
that's-
how most of the grants are awarded, is like on a scale yearly of how things compare to other states nationwide?
That is true for Title I specifically.
Okay,
Title II is more based on student count.
Okay.
More based on enrollment, and so that is to support teacher and administrative professional development, so that formula is a little bit different.
Okay.
And then Title IV is also different and is, like, there's sort of a threshold that you have to meet to be able to receive that funding, and then it's like sort of a set amount.
Okay. So it's a different
Each
formula really for
every-
each
each
one,
one,
and
each one.
nothing's easy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which tracks. Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that.
Of course.
So I guess I need a motion to authorize me to sign it.
One final question.
Yep.
We read these last year, right, in detail and already accepted, and you're showing us changes to
Yeah, those
the
and
previous
the-
accepted text?
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So it was just that first page and then something about a date.
The
Yeah,
date
on the
on
last page, it's highlighted where
Okay.
the date is to be filled in.
All right. Motion to authorize the board chair, Leslie LaFawn, to sign the FY 2027 general assurances on the behalf of the Winnacunnet School Board.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. All those in favor? All right, thank you. And we'll do that DocuSign, you think, or do we?
Yes, we can
Okay,
have it.
that's fine. Either way, I can. Last day of school.
Yes, so, doesn't apply to Sadie because she's graduating, but for those who are not graduating, the last day of school for students will be Friday, June 12th. Even though we had a snow day and a few delayed openings, we still meet the number of hours required for student instruction. So we are not proposing to move the student day to a Monday. So we'll finish with students on Friday, and then EAs and teachers will make up the snow day.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome. Perfect. We don't have any personnel, right?
Not tonight.
Not tonight, so our future meetings, we have the SAU 21 Operations Committee meeting is Monday, May 11th, and our next school board meeting is May 20th, which,
It's the night of the art show.
right,
Yeah.
and I may, yeah, okay,
May 20th.
May 20th, 'cause
I think too, that evening I am presenting the Warrior Spirit Award to the JROTC program.
yeah,
So,
we may move it, we might see if we can, I don't know.
no, if we stayed early, I think we're late on their agenda, so I wouldn't have any conflict.
Yeah, I have a conflict on that day that I'm trying to
Okay.
do, so I didn't know if we can move it to the next week or no? In the middle of everything, right?
Would you wanna go back a week to
You
the
go back
13th, or
to
go
13th?
forward a week to the 20?
What's everybody's
The
13th look
27th
like?
is the joint board.
Oh, yeah, so, does anybody have
27th is what?
availability on the
The joint
13th?
board?
Does anybody have any, like, issues with changing it to the 13th?
It's fine for me.
I don't-
We just have that other meeting the week prior,
Mhm.
from 6 to 9.
The 13th is fine for me.
13th is fine,
I'm free too.
you are?
So what is it, May 27th is joint board?
Yes.
Yeah, the joint board, so we'd just be back-to-back to the 6th and the 13th instead of back-to-back
Mm-hmm.
that one, if that's all right. Is everybody okay with doing it the 13th? Are you guys okay with that?
I
I'm
guess so.
good.
He's fine.
So,
You wanna
thanks.
check with Patricia?
I think she'd be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll text her right now, but barring her saying no, we'll change it to the
Plan to make
13th.
that update.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah.
And anybody have anything further?
Do you have non-public?
Nope,
don't.
nothing in non-public. So, Nicole,
Motion to adjourn, 6:22.
Wow.
anybody second?
Second.
Here we go, all those in favor? Thank you.
Wow, so quick.
One.
Marshall's
The
here.
next one's gonna be longer, cause there's a presentation.
Presentation, so yeah, I'll have them, the